Hi, my name is Emma Collins, I'm 27, and I've always been someone who wears her heart on her sleeve. I live in a small apartment in Denver, working long hours at a graphic design firm, and I've always considered my dog, Milo, my little slice of unconditional love. Milo isn't just a pet, he's my comfort after stressful days, my companion during lonely nights, and honestly, the closest thing I have to family I can fully trust. But today was different. I came home from work, exhausted, dreaming of the sloppy kisses and wagging tail that usually greeted me at the door. Instead, the apartment was eerily quiet. My stomach sank immediately. I called out, "Milo?" No answer. My heart started racing as I noticed the empty dog bed, the missing food bowls, and a small note on the counter. It was from my sister, Savannah Collins, who lived just a few blocks away. The note read, "Milo found a better home. Don't worry, he's happy now." I froze. My chest tightened. My mind raced in disbelief. How could she just give him away? Without asking me? Without even a hint of consideration. She had always been competitive with me, yes, but this? This felt like a punch straight to my heart. I couldn't breathe, I couldn't speak, and for the first time in years, I felt truly betrayed by someone I loved. All the little annoyances with Savannah, the small lies, the casual dismissals, they all came rushing back in a wave of anger and heartbreak. This wasn't just about Milo, it was about respect, boundaries, and the shocking realization that my sister had no problem crossing both without a second thought. I sank onto the couch, clutching the note, tears burning my eyes, and for the first time, I felt that the home I grew up in might never really feel safe or loving for me. Something inside me shifted. I knew, deep down, this was the breaking point. Growing up, my life always felt like I was living in the shadow of Savannah. Mom, Linda Collins, had a way of praising Savannah for everything, her grades, her artistic skills, her social charm, while my achievements were often met with a nod or a distracted, "That's nice, Emma." Dad, Gregory Collins, was never cruel, but he was distant, lost in his own work and hobbies, leaving me craving attention that rarely came. Even as a child, I learned that I had to be perfect just to get a fraction of recognition. I remember spending hours drawing or building little projects, only to hear Savannah's accolades echo louder across the house. She had this effortless way of drawing people in, while I constantly felt like I was treading water, desperate to be noticed. Milo entered my life when I was 16. He was a scrappy little puppy I rescued from the shelter with my own allowance money. For the first time, I felt like I had something that was completely mine. He didn't care about my mistakes, my flaws, or the family politics swirling around us. Milo was pure love. But even then, Savannah would try to undermine that bond. She'd borrow Milo for her walks without asking, or drop hints that maybe he was happier with her friends. Mom would chuckle it off, saying things like, "Emma, don't be so sensitive," while Savannah's grin said it all. Those little moments built a quiet resentment inside me, but I convinced myself that love, patience, and loyalty would always win in the end. Despite the favoritism and subtle betrayals, I tried to be the bigger person. I helped with chores, watched out for Savannah when she got into trouble, and often held my tongue when she embarrassed me in front of friends or relatives. But deep down, I carried a quiet ache, a sense that my worth was never enough for my own family. And now, seeing Milo gone, I realized that ache had been a warning I ignored for far too long. Over the years, I tried to prove myself, not just to my family, but to myself. I poured my energy into my job, often staying late to meet impossible deadlines, all while juggling the responsibilities at home. I made sacrifices without complaint, cooking dinner when Mom was too tired, helping Savannah with her projects even when mine were neglected, and ensuring that Milo never went without love or care. I remember one particular night when I stayed up until 2 a.m., finishing a work presentation while Milo curled up beside me, softly snoring. Savannah had spent the night at a party, oblivious to the quiet struggle I carried. Yet, when I tried to mention how exhausted I was the next morning, Mom just sighed and said, "Don't complain, Emma, some people have it worse." Even my kindness and dedication were minimized. It wasn't just my family, it felt like the world had a way of testing me constantly. I kept hoping that all my hard work, my patience, and my loyalty would earn some acknowledgement. That maybe, just maybe, my sister would respect my boundaries, my efforts, my heart. And then there was Milo. He had been my constant, the one being who never judged, never sided with Savannah, never demanded more than love and care. I trusted that bond, believing it was untouchable. Yet Savannah had always seemed jealous of it, subtly pushing her way into our moments, making me doubt whether my special bond was ever safe. By the time I walked in and found Milo gone, I realized that all the small sacrifices, all the sleepless nights, and all the silent suffering had meant nothing in the face of her entitlement. The tension I'd felt simmering for years finally erupted into heartbreak. Milo's absence wasn't just about the dog, it was a cruel, undeniable message. My boundaries, my love, my loyalty, they were irrelevant. The suspense, the fear, the shock, it all hit me at once. And I knew that whatever came next, nothing could erase this sense of betrayal. I couldn't stay in that apartment another second. Every corner reminded me of Milo, his bed, his toys, the little paw prints on the carpet, and now it all felt hollow, empty. I called Savannah, my voice shaking, trying to demand answers. "Why, Savannah? How could you give him away without even asking me?" I demanded. Her tone was casual, almost dismissive. "Emma, don't be dramatic. Milo's in a better home now. They love him, and honestly, I think he's happier there." Happier? The words cut deeper than I could have imagined. She didn't see my tears, my heartbreak, my sense of utter betrayal. Mom and Dad didn't intervene, they hadn't even called to check in. It was as if my grief didn't matter at all. I realized in that moment that nothing would be enough for them. My love, my sacrifices, my loyalty, none of it. Savannah had crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed, and the people who were supposed to protect me stood silently by. I grabbed my coat, the note still clutched in my hand, and walked out the door. The air felt heavy, my chest tight, but I couldn't stay. Each step away from the apartment was a mix of sorrow and a strange, burgeoning clarity. The door clicked behind me. I didn't look back. That slam echoed like a declaration: I wouldn't be disregarded, I wouldn't be invisible, and I certainly wouldn't let anyone dictate my worth. Walking away that day, I didn't have a plan, just a fierce determination to reclaim my life. Over the next few weeks, I quietly sold some of my belongings, packed up my apartment, and gave notice at work. It wasn't about running away, it was about choosing a life where I felt valued, where my heart and boundaries mattered. I moved to Portland, Oregon, renting a small studio apartment with sunlight streaming through the windows. The first night alone, I sat on the floor surrounded by boxes, feeling a strange mix of grief and relief. No one to undermine me, no one to dismiss my feelings, just me, and for the first time, that felt like enough. I found a modest job at a boutique design firm, where my skills were appreciated, and my voice mattered. I made a few friends who became my chosen family: Lydia, a quirky illustrator with a penchant for terrible puns, and Marcus, a kind barista who always remembered my coffee order and checked in when I seemed down. Slowly, I began to rebuild myself from the inside out. I couldn't replace Milo, and some nights I cried myself to sleep, imagining his soft fur and wagging tail. But I started volunteering at a local animal shelter, helping dogs who needed love, and that filled a piece of the emptiness. I realized that my heart was resilient, capable of healing, and still capable of giving love, even after being hurt so deeply. As months passed, I noticed a shift within me. I laughed more easily, slept more soundly, and even started dating again, meeting people who treated me with the respect and care I deserved. The betrayal that had once consumed me slowly became a story I could tell without breaking down, a reminder of why I chose myself, why I refused to settle for less than I deserved. Leaving my old life behind wasn't easy, but it became the turning point. I found freedom in solitude, strength in independence, and peace in the knowledge that loyalty and love aren't measured by what others take from you, but by what you carry forward yourself. Just when I started to feel truly settled, the calls and messages began. Mom, Linda, texted me with vague hints of illness. I'm not feeling well, Emma, you should come home. Dad, Gregory, tried to guilt me with nostalgic memories. Your father needs you. We miss you here. Savannah, meanwhile, reached out privately, her texts filled with half-hearted apologies. I didn't mean to hurt you. Milo was just, well, you know, but the excuses were hollow, the tone indifferent. I could tell she expected me to forgive her without question, to let her betrayal slide as if it had never happened. The family attempted to manipulate me further. They called me during dinner parties, sent photos of Milo at his new happy home, and whispered lies to friends, painting me as selfish and unreasonable for being upset. Their tactics were subtle but relentless, designed to make me feel guilty, small, and obligated to return. But I had changed. I was no longer the girl who would shrink under their pressure, who would ignore her own needs for the sake of their comfort. I calmly ignored the manipulations, focused on my new routines, and leaned on the friends and chosen family who actually valued me. For the first time, I realized that strength doesn't come from confrontation alone, it comes from standing firm in your choices, protecting your peace, and refusing to allow toxic patterns to dictate your life. Each time they tried to pull me back, I only grew stronger, more certain that my new path was where I belonged. Looking back now, I realized that losing Milo, and being betrayed by my sister, was one of the hardest things I've ever experienced, but it also became a turning point in my life. I learned that leaving wasn't an act of punishment for anyone else, it was an act of survival for me. I discovered that my worth isn't defined by how others treat me, even family. Love and respect must be mutual, and when they're not, walking away is not selfish, it's necessary. I found joy in my own company, in friendships that are genuine, and in work that challenges and appreciates me. Sometimes, I still think of Milo, and there's a bittersweet ache, but it's softened by knowing I am no longer trapped in a cycle of neglect and betrayal. My life is mine to shape, and the lessons I've learned about self-respect, boundaries, and choosing myself are invaluable. Family is proven not just by blood, but by love, care, and respect. And most importantly, choosing yourself isn't an act of selfishness, it's survival. I am Emma Collins, and I finally understand that sometimes, the most courageous thing you can do is to let go of what hurts you, and walk toward the life that truly values you.